Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about, is this a complacency rally, and what you need to know about the cryptocurrency market right now. We have a lot of people who are sort of confused right now in terms of the macro landscape of what's happening. And I just wanted to bring some perspective to that. I also wanted to just get into the charts, and to be honest, like, this is one of the most key levels for me, around 3150. And so I thought I would make a video just kind of explaining why that is the case. As you can see, we really ranged through for a long period of time in this 3150 on this level. And so, throughout a lot of the summer, beginning once after we rallied up, we just stalled. And even this rally here, if you look, it was just resistance and support throughout this entire thing. There's so many touch points on 3150. And, it's just, even here, it was big time resistance. And then we went up above it, and we never really made it support again. And here, I think I would probably qualify that as support for a second. But then again, we lost it. And so now we come to it again, and we're catching resistance. This is a make or break moment, I think, for what is sort of happening with Ethereum in terms of the market. So there's other levels as well that I look at that we broke. This level here, that was sort of the bull market start, and then this correction, we broke below it, but we were able to come back above it. I wouldn't be surprised to come back and test it again. We can also look at this. This, I would say, is sort of the top, and then the complacency there. And then there's a lot of touch points, right? So along this whole thing, it's sort of resistance, 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 resistance. And now if we run into it again, which is not very far away at this point, it's like 3250 maybe. I believe that at that point, we would see some resistance, because even if we broke above it slightly, because you just look at kind of this entire downtrend. And if we broke it, and we tested back and then went, there's a possibility for that type of a squeeze here. I would say my final, like, the complacency level that I would be looking for if we really rallied here would be around 4430, about 4400. And you could even take it down to sort of like this level, which might make more sense. That's around 3800, and I think that would make sense with these kind of areas as well, 38 to 3900. So even if we did go up, I do think we will come back and test around these lows. I'm not sure what it will look like. I think the higher we go up, the more likely that we don't break this lower low, even on a like a sell-off. But I do think that we go up, we touch this, and then we come back down. And depending on what happens, we might actually even go lower than that lower low. Bitcoin actually broke through a lot of this resistance. So with ETH, it's sort of getting rejected a little bit there. With Bitcoin, it's a little bit of a different story. We're sort of breaking through here. So it's interesting to see it sort of rally up here. But there's a lot of key levels coming up, and I just, for people who think like resume bull, I just don't think we have the juice, even in a scenario where the Fed comes out and says we're not going to taper or we're not going to raise rates. I'm not sure what happens, because I think then inflation, like CPI inflation, I actually already think that CPI inflation is going to run rampant, and already is running rampant. So I think that at the end of the day, I'm not sure Bitcoin is an inflation hedge, really. I think it's trading more like a tech stock, which is disappointing to see. I mean, this was sort of Bitcoin's moment to shine, and it hasn't yet. And now, again, we are breaking above some of these key levels here. So I don't want to say that there's not a chance. There's always a chance for Bitcoin to rally. We know that. We've seen it overcome many different things. We've seen Bitcoin overcome so many different downturns in terms of massive percentage downturns, is even in bull markets. And wouldn't it be like Bitcoin to get all of us on the sidelines with our stable coins and our gold and whatever, and then it just pumps, and we miss out. And that's not my base case, but I'm just saying that would be just like Bitcoin to rally almost in a melt up scenario, where we just melt faces, really. I mean, it's crazy because we've just gone straight down. So there's almost like no trend lines to draw. You can't even really use this. You almost have to use this, like I said, with some of these. And I guess you could kind of go with that as well, coming into some resistance. I know there's obviously trend lines here that we broke. We broke this key level of this first top in the bull market. And now we're sort of coming into this bottom part. I do think that 47.5 is very strong. So if you see it go up to 47.5, and you're in a trade maybe from these lows, I would look about taking some profits there. Bitcoin it's very volatile. Obviously, we know that. So it can kind of do anything it wants. But again, my base case is that we do go lower than this low. Even if maybe we don't, maybe, we go up and we test, 50 even, which is a key level. And then, we come back down and maybe go 36, 37.5, and then bam. So we'll see what happens. But this is an ugly looking chart. And I just wanted to highlight this because I think, again, like Bitcoin is trading with some of these big NASDAQ names because it's a big asset. It's an $800 billion asset. Google's obviously a couple, I think $1 trillion or more, it's a couple trillion. So I didn't even notice that this just happened. Like, what was this? A complete melt up for Google. Unless like I missed something. Oh, you know what? I wonder if this is. Oh yeah. Okay, this is when they did this the stock split. So recently they have made it, or I guess it will be like cheaper to own Google. So they're just like creating more shares. I think they do like a 20-to-1 split. So you're gonna be able to buy a share of Google for, whatever it might be, like $100 and something dollars. Similar, I think, to what Apple did. So it's kind of a scam for normies to think that they're getting more shares. And I think that it's like unit bias, and we're at that point in the cycle where we have large companies that are doing unit bias stock splits. And, Ethereum has never done that. And Ethereum is just kind of around the same price as Google. Now, I think Ethereum could do that in the future. And it really actually, I think, would help the price of the token because there are a lot of people who get confused who are like, I don't want to buy a $3,000 Ethereum token. I want to buy 3,000, Matic tokens instead. And so they get confused on the unit bias, but it's really more about market cap, as you should know by now, listening to this channel. But you can see that this is the key trend line here. We have 3 points. We have 1, 2, 3. We went above it, and now we went below it. And then now we rejected off of it. And if you look at this volume, this is serious sell volume. This is massive, massive whales who are taking big profits on Google right now. And that is not good for risk assets in general. I also wanted to cover just Pentoshi because he's one of the better traders, I think, in crypto. And right now he is I would say he was a short-term bull, and now he's a long-term bear, or he's at least a bear for now. in his base case scenario, which is similar to me. I actually think me and him are the only ones who called, who were at least sounding the alarms with this Ethereum candle here. This is a classic gravestone doji, and you can just see it. I mean, you just know, kind of looking at it, like that looks like a top. And I hope that some of you might have taken that as something. I mean, none of what I say is financial advice. None of it is, but maybe some of you took that as a signal. I know I took out of, I got out of my bigger leverage around 4,600, which was just, a blessing to be able to do that. And I remember I didn't sleep that night because I was just so, when you're in it for that long and you really commit and you're leveraged up, and you just always, like, you think it's going to the moon. And I think that's the issue with crypto, is that there's no objective. There's no one being objective. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to bring. And so hopefully you guys can subscribe. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, like the video, because I think there needs to be more people like me who are trying to give you the objective story of crypto. And that's what I want to do. I know that the technology is great. I know that celebrities are getting involved. I know big companies are getting involved, right? I know all of that. I know all those things. And there's announcements every day. KPMG just bought Ethereum. It's like, crazy. Companies are putting Ethereum on their balance sheets. Okay. And in the past, I would be like, a mega bull 100% or more with the leverage in on some of these coins, or mainly Ethereum. And I just look back and I'm, now that I'm out of that and I'm sort of more balanced in my portfolio, and I'm still like, 33% of my net worth portfolio is probably in ETH, and that's it right now. But I look back and when it was 100%, and I'm like, man, that's sort of crazy. And I think it's important to have a long-term mindset with a lot of this. And so, what I think Pentoshi is saying is, he had a tweet today that I wanted to highlight, and maybe we can just look at all of his tweets because they're all really great. So he said, some thoughts going into March. CPI print expectations are 7.3% this Thursday, which is consumer price index. It's the inflation number that we keep hearing about. Hearing it could come in as high as 7.8, 7.9, highest in 40 years. Oil is up 20% to start the year. Food is also skyrocketing. Like I've told you guys, higher cost of goods. The average consumer is hit the hardest. And I believe that the average consumer is the person who's investing in crypto the most right now. There are whales who have, and I think that that's the issue, is the normies are seeing celebrities who are coming into NFTs and they're thinking, oh, I gotta buy NFTs, I gotta buy ETH, I gotta do this. And in reality, this is what you see at the end of a cycle, not the start of a cycle. This is the end of the cycle. These people, the celebrities, are late to the game. They're late. They're not early at all. So you have to realize that. He said, now the response I've seen from every fund since November, before they got absolutely and utterly abused in this downtrend, was that it's priced in. Was it? No. I ask you to think critically. If we are here as a result of QE, why wasn't QE priced in? And so QE is quantitative easing, the Fed printing money. And so if we were here as a result of QE, then I think what he's saying is that, basically, like, it's a forward-looking mechanism. So, when we saw the top in November, that was the market looking forward to the rates coming down, or the rates going up, I should say. He said, if Fed tapers hikes, where does that 120 billion a month come from that previously acted as a backstop for the market for up only? Who wants to buy overvalued assets without the Fed wind at their backs, et cetera? Who wants to take on that risk? And we have to realize that crypto is the biggest risk of any of the asset classes right now because we're so early still. And so you have to just think like the technology is bullish. It's bullish that people are using it, but it's still an asset that trades. And so when the market makes moves and you start to see major sell-offs, people are going to get leverage calls, margin calls, calls about their credit line at their house. Like if they're, if the housing market starts to go down, which I think is possible as well. I think we were just in an everything bubble. And the only thing that really didn't do anything or act in a bubble sort of way in the past couple of years was actually gold. And so that's why I am currently investing in gold, because well, I took my profits with ETH, and I, a lot, higher up, and I decided to go into precious metals with silver and gold, because they are just one of the more undervalued assets. I mean, look what it's done since August 2020. This is a correction. This is a long, drawn out, year and a half, painful death correction where everyone gave up. Is just gold is dead. Everyone's hates it. Everyone's like it's a relic. Everyone buys Bitcoin. Everyone buying ETH, NFTs, digital economy. Why would someone need to own that? It's physical. Here's the thing though. All the central banks hold gold. They all own gold. They all accumulate. They've been accumulating gold at higher levels than ever before in the past 10 years. And we see China and Russia doing deals with each other now without the US dollar. I think we saw a Nigeria possibly sign a deal with China to do transactions with them for oil. That's not, I think, in the US dollar. I think they might make their reserve currency the yuan. The thing is, China has the goods. They produce some of the they have some of the highest producing gold mines in the world, and they keep all the gold to themselves. Okay, so they let the citizens obviously buy gold. So a lot of the citizens own gold, but China also accumulates it for themselves. And so they've been stacking gold. They've been reporting it, but people think that they may not have reported as much as they have. And so if we see a war breakout in terms of Russia, Ukraine, NATO, US involved, and China's just kind of sitting over here like going like this, because if a war breaks out, and that's kind of the chance of when war breaks out, world war breaks out, the person with the most gold, the country with the most gold dictates the terms. And I'm a little bit nervous that China might have more gold than us. The US has not accumulated gold. They have just not been accumulating, haven't been selling, but they also have not been accumulating. And so just be aware of the geopolitical framework that we're in, and understanding that, gold is an asset that you can physically hold in your hand in times of crisis. And even if it went down, to the 200-week moving average down here at 1585, if that happens, Bitcoin will be at 30K, and gold, it just as a percentage, it will not drop as much. And so let's see if we can look at the gold to Bitcoin ratio. I think that this is something that people kind of have forgotten at this point. See if we can get it up here, because it's important to understand sort of where we're at with this, because obviously it's done, pretty badly over the past couple of years. And so if we're looking at it here on the weekly time frame, this is what I would call a double bottom. And it's a rounded W bottom. And now we're retesting here. Okay, we're retesting this level here. And now I think we go higher. I think that actually you might be able to trade up to 0.1, which would give you double the amount of your Bitcoin if you wanted to do so. We also look at it on the daily here with the rounded bottom, and we see this trend line that we formed. We're testing the bottom of that trend line now. And we're also testing these sort of levels. I wouldn't be surprised if we come down to the 200. We do see that the 200 is crossing back below. And so we lost the 20, the 50, and now, we're getting this cross, which is a bullish cross. There's bearish crosses and bullish crosses. And what you want to see is this order stay intact of the 20, the 50, the 100, and then the 200. And that shows that we're sort of starting to head up, and in the short term, we're getting momentum. So again, for me, I'm also looking at the Ethereum to gold chart. I actually want to see if I can pull it up, but I actually am thinking I can get a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of gold and Ethereum. So say gold went to 1585, I believe that Ethereum would also go to 1585 in that scenario. And so I'm not sure. Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, I bought in. See, I'm not sure when. I think I bought in at like 0.4, something like that. So definitely up since I did that. I think. Let's see. It was probably down here. So it's kind of testing that back now. And again, if we look at this sort of as a sort of this rounded bottom I was talking about here, this is kind of what we want to see here. This is just this rounded bottom, and now we're again sort of testing this bottom of this trend line here. So just be aware that this is possibly something where, I mean, one is I think easy, for sure. So looking at this, we have, if we look at the one level for gold and Ethereum ratio, this is a key level for sure. We see it, there's support here. We broke through, and now resistance, resistance, resistance. What we'd want to see is we kind of maybe target for something like a 1.3. And that's where we would look to possibly sell some of the gold for Ethereum. And then we would want to see, so let's say we get something like this. Okay, we would want to see this test back, sort of go like this, and then go like this. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say, because that's the bullish case for gold. That actually looks really good though. I wonder if that's oh man, imagine that happens and gold goes like, and you can get 2. You can get 2 for that. So yeah, what I would say is maybe trade some up here at 1.3 or even 1. And it, people would be like, oh, this is a crypto channel. Like, why are you talking about gold? And it sounds crazy that gold's going to outperform by this much. I get it. But I'm saying that there will be a major sell-off in the stock market, and gold is a run to safety. And it does not usually sell off as much. And it's also usually the first thing to recover in a sell-off scenario. That's what happened in March 2020. If you bought gold, I think it outperformed Bitcoin, at least in the short term after the sell-off. I know Bitcoin kind of went sideways. So again, this is kind of the bull case for gold. So maybe 2 is the top. Maybe that's what that looks like. But I guess what we would want to see is 1 get rejected, and then sort of just kind of continue to go down into a lower range here. If you're an Ethereum bull in terms of gold. So hopefully you guys got something out of the video. Please subscribe, like if you have not, and going to try to be bringing you guys more videos and more content, and just sharing some thoughts that I have on a daily basis. So keep that in mind. and have a great night.